I covered a lot of this, I think, in my introduction, but so what fuels my study of worship? Um, a lot of it has to do with the fact that I feel that I have been worshiping my whole life, but don't know anything about worship. And so I certainly have things that are very important to me in worship, and that really me are meaningful to me. The most important one I would say would be Eucharist. Holy Communion is to me the ultimate in worship, and have like I said in my introduction, I attend a United Methodist Church, and um, they have communion once a month, which to me is not often enough. I grew up in a church where communion was each Sunday, and it was drilled into my head by my mom that that was what was right and proper, and so to not have it each week is it seems wrong to me, um, and have had discussions enough, and worked hard enough that my church now has it at least at one service every twice a month, and so that works out to about every other week, and it's not quite enough for me, but we're getting there. Um, Also, one of the big things that fuels my interest in understanding worship more and being more prepared to be a worship leader is that 2 years ago I started a church service. We call it Church on the Boardwalk. I live at the beach, and so we started having a service um, on the beach during the summer months. We start about Memorial Day and go to about Labor Day, and that service was geared toward. We intended it to be for tourists who were coming to the beach, and Sunday morning is usually checkout time, and people are packing up and getting ready to go home. And so, what we wanted to do was to offer a service that would be a short service. It would be on the beach, and it would be, um, come as you are. We really don't care. Come in your swimsuit. Come in your shorts and your t-shirt. You don't have to have brought any special clothes with you on vacation to come and worship with us. And one of the things that we do as a part of that service is that we do have communion every Sunday. We don't know what people's traditions are that are coming to worship with us. And so we offer communion every Sunday. But I want to be a better worship leader, and I want to plan my services better, and I want to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, and not just feel like I'm doing it um, by rote. I want to have a better understanding. And I'd hoped today to take you down to the beach, but I was helping with a funeral and I didn't get down there before dark. Um, and a further service that I started is in September, I started Church on Tap. We meet in a local brewery once a month, the first Monday of the month, because Monday is the day that a lot of people have off. And so I'm really interested in how to incorporate the elements of worship with the secular. So how do we blend secular with sacred? And I feel that that's something that I'm doing with both Church of the Boardwalk and Church on Tap. Church on Tap, we meet at a local brewery, and so being able to blend those two and really have a good understanding, a real good foundation for trying to do what I'm already doing. Um, and a worship, what worship may look like in my community. I think worship looks just like those two things that I was describing to you. It's worship outside of a church building. I feel very called to lead worship in places that are not traditional, and to bring traditional elements to to those places and to offer that type of worship to people who maybe have been harmed by the church, or who maybe would never darken the doors of a church building, but to offer church in a place that is not necessarily what people would consider. Um, what is meaningful, I think I've already said, to me in worship is communion. It is, to me, um, I think N.T. Wright was the one who said that there are places where heaven and earth touch. And to me, it is always one of those places where heaven and earth touch. And so I'm always very interested in participating and in being a part of that. And one of the most meaningful services that I think really stands out to me, because I grew up in a tradition where communion was little wafers and little individual cups and trays that were passed by, and um, it didn't feel very reverent sometimes. It was, how quickly can we get this done? And the first time that I participated in a service where we were taking communion by intention, and we all walked to the front, and the pastor pulled off a piece of bread, and he put it in my hands, and said, the body of Christ broken for you, Gail. And then it was the blood of Christ shed for you, Gail. And that was very meaningful to me, to have my name said in that ritual. I've come to really appreciate the Great Thanksgiving, and the ritual that comes from these ancient words that have been handed down. So that's very meaningful for me in a service. I've come to that place where it's very meaningful. Um, a service that I was a participant in, that I attended, that went very wrong. My wife and I attended a Baptist church for a while, and there was a particular Sunday after we'd been attending there for about a year, when a guest pastor was there, and he stood up and preached a sermon on how sin had come into their church, and how there was an abomination among them, and they needed to rid themselves of this abomination that was coming to worship with them. And we recognized that we were the abomination. And so we um, at the end of the service, there was an altar call, and he invited everyone who was willing to rid themselves of this abomination to come down front. And the whole church, except Jen and I and a couple that was visiting, all got up and walked to the front of the church, because they felt very strongly that they needed to rid themselves of us, the abomination among them. And I think that was a service that went very wrong. Maybe not for them. Maybe for those people who were there, they felt that they were very much walking in God's will, but certainly it was not a welcoming experience for us, and not an experience that brought us any closer to God. And so I think that there's an importance to what happens in worship, and there's an importance to um, to how we impart the love of God to people. And so anyway, I would like to be better about that, and I would like to be better in understanding the history, and what it really means, not only for me, and how my reaction is, but what is it meaning for those people that I'm sharing it with, and how am I going to be someone that is going to be able to share history and tradition and God's love, the best, in a blend of sacred and secular. Anyway, I'm looking forward to studying with everybody, and I'm sure we'll talk much more soon.